Who was the worst person you've ever played D&D with? Let us know in the comments below. Drag 'em through that mud, baby. Largely, as the forever GM, I have been blessed with some truly talented, hilarious, and lovely friends as players through my gaming. The players I run for are typically either my friends or become so, starting out as friends of friends. However, I have had some bad experiences with GMs. I play in one-shots organized at my local library and was in a game one time with a GM who seemed like a nice guy, but was perhaps rather old school in his style. He had the barest grip of 5th edition's rules, let players handle all their own abilities, usually a good thing, but there were a lot of newbies, some of whom abused the freedom to do whatever they wanted, and kept rolling a d6 to decide things for some reason. The peak of the problem came in the adventure's climax, when we'd been investigating some shape-shifting ooze that could replace people. We found some lair, and some evidence in the lair revealed it had been my character all along. For context, I was playing a little halfling granny artificer who knitted all her magic items for the party, weaver's tools as her artisan tools, spellcasting focus, and I flavored her healing spells as homemade baked goods. Admittedly, it would have been a great plot twist if I'd been in on it, or if my PC had been an NPC of the GM. As it was, I was basically told I had to PvP my party, only 2 of whom were in the room, the others patrolling outside. I downed one person, and the other fled to join the patrol, and all 3 got captured or killed off-screen by henchmen, of the ooze? Apparently that meant I won, but I felt like shit. Yeah, having your character completely railroaded with no context is a terrible way to GM. I had a fairly average or fine DM for an online group I joined. Another player started his own campaign and the DM joined as a wizard player. He rolled nothing below a 15, gave his character an ability to wear heavy armor, and added extra stat bonuses from some homebrew shit he made up. I believe his level 1 stats were, in order, 15, 17, triple 18, and a 16. He wore heavy armor and a shield as a wizard, and had an AC of like 20. Wizards are squishy, so they need HA. Heavy armor's great, man. He used his spider familiar to get advantage in any situation he could. The spider next to me distracts my enemies, so I get advantage on my 90-foot away attack. My spider gives me advantage on my persuasion check to convince a crowd to join us. I think he even had a feat that made one spell automatically succeed in combat. He literally outshined every other player in every class and in everything that happened in combat. I think he had like 6 expertises as well. He claimed to have rolled the stats, and his girlfriend confirmed, but you could hear in her voice she was definitely not comfortable lying to everyone. That campaign fell apart after 1 session. I quit at the beginning. Nobody showed up to his campaign again. Like, I could see a brand new player trying something like this. Maybe the newbie found some homebrew page and had no idea what the game was supposed to be about. But this was an experienced DM pulling this garbage, lying through his teeth about it, and insisting it was more fair this way. Yeah, just as fair as your girlfriend lying to cover your ass, buddy. At my college, we had a D&D club. It was this really fun concept where there was an overarching world and story, but each week was a one-shot in that world. There were like 15 to 20 DMs, and you could sign up at the beginning of each meeting for a table. The idea was to mix and match every week and find people you enjoyed playing with. Totally worked for me. I found my favorite DM ever, and my buddy and I played with him for my last 2 semesters. But before we locked in with our DM, we spent some time at other tables. And good gravy, we ran into an obnoxious dude. I can't remember what he played. A rogue, I think. But our group was hired to clear out this old house for a guy who had just inherited it. he tried to steal everything, which included the heartfelt pictures and letters to the house-owning NPC from his estranged father. Me and my buddy had enough at that point, and our cleric and paladin duo straight up said, no. I'm usually up for tomfoolery and stupid decisions, but it was clear that the DM was trying to tell a story with us, and this guy just didn't care. And then, when the DM was trying really hard to bring an emotional moment with this NPC, this dude was just talking through it to another member of our party. I remember talking loudly over this guy just to roleplay with the DM. God, it was just so rude. The worst DM was also at this same club. My normal table got filled up before I got there, so I had to join another one. This wasn't anything too egregious, but there were 2 combat encounters, each with 1 enemy. Both times the monk stunned the bad guy and we proceeded to kill them without getting a turn. I don't think I even got a turn either. I was just really used to my usual DM, who was a master at adjusting encounters to fit the party and make them challenging. We were just starting out in D&D, only doing homebrew since it was more of an excuse to hang out with each other while messing around. We already had a campaign up and running, and it was pretty standard so far. Our DM was good at what to do, despite literally first-timing everything. To be honest, it was a simple story before we included possible story directions via backstories and general suggestions, which made things even more fun. So we had a good idea of what we wanted from the game. One of the people in this friend group wanted to DM. We were all open to this, but we honestly should have seen how badly things went during the other campaign. In Campaign A, he summoned some sort of deadly monster via a powerful artifact because he wanted to absorb its power at level 2. He blew up a town for nothing. Glossing over the fact that this thing was a key item in the story, he tried to convince the monster to join him for, well, no good reason, trying to persuade this monster as if he was just that guy. Yeah, bro. He failed horribly, and we had to hightail it out of there. So, there were already some sour memories with this player, but mistakes happen, right? No, okay, nope. As I said, this player wanted to DM Campaign B, and things took a bad turn very quickly. We had to infiltrate a castle of sorts for our first mission, accompanied by a level 5 NPC. Now, we were level 1 at the time, so we were struggling to get through the window since we didn't have an easy way in. Instead of letting us figure it out, the NPC somehow just put us in the castle with no prior warning or explanation. Pop, there you are. So we were fumbling on how to either get through the guarded front area or sneak in. And we were just, plopped in anyway. Cool! We explored the first floor and everything went well until the first encounter of the playthrough. And nothing seemed wrong until the monster attacked our warlock. The monster rolled under his AC and our warlock felt good about it until the DM said he hit him anyway since it was a feint attack. I don't know how feints work or if they even exist, but the idea was that you'd get hit if it was under your AC instead of beating it, which already left a pretty sour taste in our mouths. But we beat it anyway. Then, we were told to just leave since apparently the big bad evil guy was suddenly on the first floor, according to the NPC using telepathy. We were then just forced out by this NPC's teleportation. So, giant waste of time, and all we've done is one encounter. Don't worry, it'll get better, it's gotta get better, right? Right? No. Nope. We went back to our main hub for another mission, and it was filled to the brim with obvious anime references and characters. As if we wouldn't notice based on how they were being described in the most boring and blatant way possible, instead of being creative and subtle so it sounded like it was just part of the world. Well, we took another mission, and an NPC volunteered to help us out. As we went through, we were given almost nothing to do. We had one easy encounter, and then we reached the end of the cave to realize our target was a golden dragon! To be fair, the mission was vague, but we thought we were just going to explore a cave. Haha, no. We were about to leave, but the NPC already started attacking it and did hundreds of damage to the thing in a single turn. We were still level 1! After the NPC's turn, they literally just left. Yeah, they just made it our problem and teleported away. Running away from the thing wasn't a fun time, but we got out unscathed by some crazy miracle and started walking back. I tried to initiate at least some roleplay, since our characters had gotten to do so little that we hadn't even exchanged names. Before I could even say anything, we were suddenly pulled into another realm by Jesus. Oh no, and told we were the chosen ones for literally doing all, and were then boosted to level 11. We earned 10 levels for literally doing all. Staring at a dragon and then running. The campaign continued in a similar way. Get to do nothing, weak encounter, very difficult encounter just so the NPC could indulge in the DM's power fantasy, move on to the next one, and we kept bringing up these issues to him, and nothing changed in the slightest. As of right now, one of our characters is trapped in a TV with nothing to do. 2 others are alone with no directions in a fortress they have no idea how to traverse. The warlock is in West Bumblefuck meeting Garantina. We managed to steer the focus back to Campaign A under the reasoning to simply finish it first before continuing, when in reality, we were obviously just trying to avoid Campaign B. We're having a lot of fun, but the player decided to go on his solo adventure for some reason, so it's mostly focused on us remaining 3 players. We're having a blast as always. TLDR. We tried D&D for the first time and it went well. A player decided they wanted to DM another campaign, and they turned it into a shitty power fantasy complete with anime references up the wazoo. And we did nothing but watch cutscenes the whole friggin' time. PS or postscript for you new kids. The only positive thing to come from Campaign B was that we 4 players took my character into Campaign A and made him create a tea shop so good that it spanned dimensions. It was a hilarious concept, and we just went with it. I don't have much D&D experience outside of my main friend group, but the worst was definitely the only campaign I've walked out of so far. Oh god. We had a session 0, where things seemed pretty fine on paper. But even then, I squinted at their words and decisions out the gate with confusion. The usual spells were banned outright, which was an expected eye roll from me, along with some very weird alterations to other spells. A very minor, silly nerf to Mind Sliver, and surprisingly buffs to most of the healing spells. They claimed they had run this campaign, Princes of the Apocalypse, before, and had TPK'd their entire main friend group. So to avoid that, they made our party roughly 6 players and basically tried to make sure we had healers. So, we had, I think, a cleric. I know we had a bard. She left shortly after I did, apparently. And then me as a divine soul sorcerer. This was both reassuring, but also weirdly concerning due to the seemingly excessive precautions to prevent TPK, when, in my limited experience, DMing 5th edition shouldn't have been that hard even at lower levels. What sounded fine at Session 0 quickly became my biggest pain point. The DM's ground rule of saying there would be things he had house rules on, but he wouldn't elaborate until those things came up in session. This, paired with him seeking a group of all-new players, eventually gave me the impression he just wanted a bunch of clueless noobs that wouldn't flinch at him making shit up on the fly! Which Yeah, especially when it works against the players. I'm not exactly a big on that. I can't recall most of the instances, but I just kept catching the DM essentially not allowing or actively nerfing players' attempts to do things that, according to the rules, they could just do. An example of this was when we were navigating a cave and caught a glimpse of a creature around the corner from us. The cleric wanted to cast guidance on our ranger before they stealthed ahead to check what was nearby, but they couldn't because, and according to the DM, casting spells is loud and bright, so that would only guarantee you're spotted. Like, sure, subtle spell exists for a reason, but you're telling me that a touch-based spell, verbal, somatic, means the cleric has to shout loud enough for the potential enemies who are over 50 feet away to hear us? Anyway, little things like that. Oh, you want to use this class feature spell, etc. to do what it does? Well, doing that will actually only make it harder on you versus just doing a flat attempt check. Well, yes, the rules say you can technically do X, but that doesn't mean Y isn't a factor every time you do this, which actually kinda nerfs that thing completely. I was near my breaking point when we fought some enemies with two of them running way up ahead. After we fought the first group, we very cautiously crept up ahead, expecting a trap or an ambush. The instant we attempted to check the next room for anything, suddenly multiple magical laser beams appeared and instantly all targeted the character at the lead of the group. No save, no anything. Granted, I think the enemy was casting magic missile, but I really felt like we deserved a bone for being reasonably cautious when proceeding, not to mention that none of us thought to try to ask or identify what spell was being cast. Though I would have if I wasn't so flabbergasted or annoyed in the moment and the moments following. Now, my breaking point, oh boy. My actual breaking point was when we got into a scuffle with some cultists. We actively wanted to avoid killing them in order to interrogate them. Suddenly, if we wanted to deal non-lethal attacks, the DM's rule was the damage die always had to be equal to our unarmed strike damage, regardless of the weapon we used. And we still had the chance to accidentally kill the target if we rolled bad, which he didn't clarify what that meant either. So, naturally, to play it safe, when most of the enemies died, our paladin did the safe option of dropping his big-ass hammer just to punch the enemy. His roll to hit was better with the hammer though, so of course, he never managed to land a punch on the guy stabbing the crap out of him. Our monk had to come in and save the day, but he rolled a nat 20 on his hit. And I could tell the DM paused to consider whether or not that should insta-kill the enemy because crit. In the end, the last enemy was knocked out, and nothing could be done to bring him back to consciousness. Wow, your monk punched him into a coma. Good job. Even though, literally by the rules, just about any of the numerous sources of healing magic we had on hand should have done the job, let alone just stabilizing him. Now here was the final straw. Maybe, just maybe, I was being a rules lawyer, but it felt like at every turn, whenever someone tried to do something remotely smart, surprise! A made-up rule appeared to basically counteract whatever was being attempted. It was never anything I did, which was the craziest part, because no one else, of course, questioned any of this bullshit that I was seeing happen to them left and right. I eventually put my foot down and brought it up in our Discord, only for basically everyone to blame themselves rather than the DM. Then, the DM pulled the, of course, Nepo baby response, I have been running games for X years and own all the books, so don't act like I don't know the rules card on me. Even when I was literally sharing screenshots of the rules that he was trying to argue weren't the rules. Really? I was mostly asking him to clarify what his rulings were and preferably why, rather than just saying, "Ah, so this is how that works actually." Now, you're not being a rules lawyer, you're just trying to deal with some real bullshit. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and let us know in the comments below. Who was the worst person you've ever played D&D with? And if you ever want to help us keep the lights on and the food on flowing, make sure to join our membership program to get early access to videos and maybe a little bit more later. We love you all. From me to you, please be safe, happy, and healthy, and we'll see you next time. Toodaloo for now.